some of the judges are, the COLA doesn't apply to them because those numbers are set a different way. But the ones that are highlighted in yellow, those were the amounts that Anna spoke on, and recommended moving those up to a certain level. And then, of course, the COLA is added on top of that. So I just wanted to just make sure that we were all still, agreeable to those amounts, just because those letters do need to go out today. And we hadn't really
The
looked at.
adjustments came in the highlighted yellow,
Yes, sir.
and that was due to the fact that they were out of our criterion.
Yes. Yes. So you brought those up.
Between now and the final adoption, which is August the 24th, we will come back and talk about the disposition of any of the funds that are over and above the policy of our unassigned fund balance policy of 33%, and how we, if we choose to apply any of those towards things. And one of the, one item was on our retirement debt. It looks like there's about a little over $90,000. For every $1 million we pay down on that debt, there's a little over 90,000 and some change.
Correct. So
Savings that goes up over time if salaries are adjusted up.
that's correct. So yeah, those paying in $1 million or whatever the amount may be is going to affect of course, you're going to be out that cash for the year to pay down that debt, but then it's going to affect your retirement rate also.
Right.
So.
And the cash position that we're in because of the rate environment.
So we have received, of course, the certified values and then the new calculations of the tax rate. We'll share our screen here. This updated spreadsheet is, of course, on the budget workshop drive today, unfortunately. But that one is just one that's there. We've had questions, and we can always adjust as more information comes in.
Good.
The other ones that we'll need to come back to in this department are the MHMR contracts. And of course, those will come in for your review in this next month. The animal birth control clinic. So they increased their ask this year to that $125,000. You had questions about what the city was contributing to ABC. And so what we have found out, they currently and have for some years now, their budget is $166,000. Theirs is a little bit different than ours. So what's happening there is they budget, and then they have an agreement with, of course, with ABC, and they're being billed per instance per surgery and microchip. And so theirs, they've budgeted $166 for a while, but from what I gathered, it's just a flat rate that has been sufficient to cover the amount that's billed to them monthly. So they have not adjusted that for a while, but it's, again, just based on how many instances they are actually billing for.
So that's a little different than our arrangement where we're just giving them flat money to do whatever they.
To cover the areas outside outside the incorporated cities, yes, sir. So with the $125,000, it's just down at the bottom of perfect. That section there. She says that to reach the areas in need, this would cover over 1,500 animals. They would receive spay, neuter, and microchip, and that the $19,000, the past funding level, is exhausted within 3 months usually. Economic Development Department. The Sports Commission asked for an increase in funding of $30,000, so this would increase to $130,000 from our previous $100,000. You had asked about the city of Waco and what they had funded and what they planned on funding. They have always contributed $75,000, and of course their budget is not adopted yet either, but the plan is that they would continue the $75,000 level of funding into next year. Stay on our timeline. Those letters need to go out from the judge's office today. So I just wanted to just come back here and just make sure that we all knew what those ending numbers look like. Everyone has received a COLA on this list. So the right side is just what our fiscal year 22 elected official salaries look like. Some of the judges are, the COLA doesn't apply to them because those numbers are set a different way.
Okay, good morning. Let's call court to order. Today is Tuesday, February the 15th, 2022. It's 9 a.m. Proof of posting, please.
The agenda was posted on Friday, February 11, 2022 at 10:55 a.m.
Thank you. All right, this time, let's stand briefly for a moment of silence, and then we'll have the pledge to the flags.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Steve.
Yes, sir.
Okay, at this time, are there any public comments? Did Reagan and no one called in or to make public comments? Okay. All right, just to kind of give an overview of what we're gonna try to do today, we've got a little bit of a time crunch. We need to be done by, what time do you need to leave? 11:30. Okay, by 11:30, so depending on how efficient we are with our time in this discussion of the agenda, the ARPA discussion, if we have time, we can start in on it. We are going to repost for 1 p.m. on Friday to be able to dedicate that time for any ARPA discussion and any action that we want to take. Under items D, under proclamations and resolutions, Commissioner Perry.
Yes, sir. This is a proclamation for the China Spring State Championship football team. It'll be read at their meeting Monday night and handed out at that time, so there's no one here today, so I just make a motion at this time to approve the proclamation.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If no other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Pass. All right, under the consent agenda, the recommended pulls are E3A, it's a HR matter for SO, and then under E7, the burn ban. Are there any other recommended pulls from the commissioners on the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of those two pulls?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Dustin, I want to go ahead and deal with the suggested pulls under E3A. Under E3A is, let's see. E3A is county sheriff's discussion or action regarding overtime pay for McPup's deputies working at the jail. Who's going to discuss this?
This is David Ives, Judge. I can discuss it with you.
All right.
So we have previously asked the court for approval back when the Pups Crew guys originally went back into the jail for them to be eligible for overtime. And since they have gone back out to Pups and then come back into the jail, we are having to re-request that approval that we were originally given when that happened the first go round.
Okay. Any questions anyone have?
So what date would this be effective? Is it as of this pay period? Is that the request?
That would be our request. Our request would
Okay.
be that it's as of when it's approved today in court.
And where would this come from?
So we would usually keep payroll costs for that employee in the McPups department, whichever precinct, I'm not sure which precinct that is. But we would, at some point, we could do a budget amendment to account for that overtime that is actually being paid out. We could charge it to the jail overtime budget too for this instance. It's kind of a different
How did we do the last one?
circumstance
Because this has happened before.
that we've paid out overtime. I'll have to look back and see. We may have charged it to the jail overtime line item, even though
Right.
he's not specifically a
Sure.
jail employee, but we
I don't
can,
think
we'll
it's-
make it work.
I don't think it's a road and bridge McPups.
Well, just because it's budgeted in that department to keep it.
They're paying them out of McPups.
Right, but, so the maintenance doesn't have their own budget for the ones they use or anything of that nature?
For, what do you mean? I'm sorry.
Just for the deputies, for the guys that are deputized that handle inmates. I was just saying, I know there's
Oh, so
plenty in our
yes.
budget. I just,
They do not get paid out overtime.
okay.
All of our McPups deputies have always just earned comp time.
Mr.
Gotcha.
Jones, did you have a question?
To Commissioner Perry's question, I think those are in the budget for maintenance of buildings. And then they're also licensed jailers. So,
Okay. You
Okay, for purposes,
figuring out my question, you did a good job of answering it, so.
if the court approves it conceptually, then Francis can come back with a,
If needed, yes.
if
we-
needed, budget amendment to out of the right.
The only reason I asked that is because there was talk about us using our funds for McPups to bring an outside vendor in to take care of litter, and I would hate to expend
Yeah.
that.
I got you.
So we need to, yeah.
Okay. All right, did I have was there a motion, a second?
Motion to approve?
second.
All right, I have a motion, a second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. The other item, has to do with the barn ban under E7. Elizabeth, are you on? If not, Dustin, can you, or there's Ryan. Ryan, I understand we had some communication from the volunteer fire department group that they're concerned, there's increased fires, and, I was looking at the weather. The chance of rain has dropped, from what it originally was, and the chance of high winds is really high. And I did a little test burn this weekend, just to see, and I mean, it was controlled, very controlled burn. And, there's not enough, winter grass that's come up to slow down the burn. There's still a lot of dry. And so I'd recommend the court of law with, I think, emergency management, that we reestablish the burn ban effective, today. Any other thoughts on that? I would make a motion in that regard.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Pass. All right, Dustin, you want to pick it up from here?
Yes, sir. So if we can go to item N, under item N1, discussion or action on matters regarding COVID-19. I see we have Ryan Durker on the line, as well as LaShonda Mallory Horn and Dr. Shaw. I don't know, LaShonda, would you like to start?
Yes, thank you so much, and thanks, Judge Felton. I have, excuse me, I have a few slides I'll share. Let me get my screen shared. Oh, are y'all seeing my notes, or y'all actually seeing the screen?
I see the cover sheet, COVID-19 pandemic update.
All right, perfect. Okay, so just real quick, we have a few slides. We'll start, our 7-day running average is decreasing steadily since we had this big peak in the Omicron variant that started in December. We're excited to see this decrease. We're hopeful that we'll continue to trend downward. Cases increased over about 50 times over a 9-week period. Josh, these are not the correct slides. I'm so sorry. This is not what I wanted to show you all.
Well, that looked pretty
It
good.
still look pretty good.
Hold on a minute. I really apologize. Let me find the newest version. I'm so sorry. I worked on this morning. I know I have newer slides that are better.
No
But I
problem.
think y'all like even better than that slide.
Okay.
Oh, good.
Well, thank y'all for your patience. Here we go. Let's try it again. I got myself in knowing how to work Zoom, and then I messed it up. Here we go. All right, so let's start over again.
Okay.
Because he was like, those are not the correct slides. All right, this was even better. So like I said, our 7-day case count is going down deeply and steeply. We're way underneath 7-day running average of 100. I think we're at about 77 right now. So we're excited to see this decrease, but we want to make sure people understand that just like we saw peaks earlier in the pandemic, we could still have another peak at some point. So we still want people to stay vigilant about protecting themselves and others. Our 7-day running average of COVID cases reported since December of 2021, you can see we peaked around the middle of January, and then we've gotten a steep decrease. Our hospital admissions, they're steadily going down as well. We've been in close contact with the hospital leadership, and they are excited to note that they are seeing a decrease. So we're right at about 100 at this point, but we want to get back down to those really, really low numbers of less than 50, because that really takes the strain off of our hospital system. The number of fatalities by the date of death, unlike the Delta surge, the fatalities have not been quite as intense, but we still have seen some deaths. This month already, we've seen 22 deaths, so we expect more, unfortunately, just because of the number of cases that we've seen. But one thing that we do want to know is that a lot of the people, or the majority of the people that have passed away from this Omicron surge, have been unvaccinated. So that's why it's still really important to go ahead and get those vaccines. Our vaccinations are still far behind where we were early in the vaccine effort, but one thing that we do know that there are thousands of McLennan County residents that are eligible for a booster shot that have not taken advantage of that. So what our staff will be doing is directly targeting those to make sure they know that they are eligible for a booster. We'll be doing push notifications through our scheduling system to try to encourage people to come in and get that booster shot. And then we're still working with people to do first-time doses, of course, as well. But we really want to make sure people that are eligible for the booster get boosted. We still see the same kind of distribution of vaccine uptake across the county. And what I would like to ask of the Commissioner's Court is that if you have any people out in your jurisdiction that would like to host a vaccine clinic or just need more information and education on the vaccines, please reach out to us so we can do that education and get those people vaccinated. We have hired 2 health educators just for this effort. So we have the staff to do the education and to provide the service to our community. Our testing update, the MyLabs Direct location at McLennan County College is still up and running. It's a PCR test. It's a quick turnaround, and sometimes people are getting the results the same day, just depending on what time of the day they get tested. One thing that we're really encouraging people to do is to come to this community testing site or to use an at-home test and try to avoid going to hospital emergency departments and emergency rooms, because they already are having some staffing issues. And if they're having to try to just test people, that kind of slows down the process. And it really takes the focus off of doing emergency medicine and kind of puts it on something that could be easily managed in a primary care setting. Again, how to protect yourselves and others. It's pretty simple. If you haven't gotten vaccinated, we really encourage you to. wear a mask when you're out in public or out and about. You know, regardless of what it might look like, there's still a significant amount of virus in the community. And because we don't have a way to track the at-home test results, we really don't know exactly how many people are showing positive on those at-home tests. So that's why it's important to still take care of covering your face, your nose and your mouth. Stay 6 feet away from others, and also use alcohol-based hand sanitizer regularly. One thing we also want to make sure people understand is while we also have COVID in the community right now, there's still a significant amount of flu activity happening here in our county and just the common cold. So any of these efforts can really decrease the spread of all three of those viruses. And that's all I have. Do y'all have any questions? Vidahi is on the line and she can answer any questions about the data specifically. And, again, I apologize for the mix-up this morning.
No problem. Any questions?
Shonda, quickly, LaShonda, nationally, what I'm seeing or what I'm reading is that because the cases are trending downward, that people are opting not to get their booster shot. Is that what we're seeing in McLennan County? Are we mirroring that here locally?
Yeah, I think people are getting comfortable with the fact that the cases are trending down right now. And while this last variant was not near as, it wasn't making people near as sick as the Delta variant made a lot of people got infected. But people also kind of took for granted that they didn't get as sick. It's like, oh, it just feels like I have a cold rather than, I'm in the hospital or, really compromised. So that's why we're really going to really start pushing the importance of getting those booster shots. I mean, we have plenty of vaccine available in the community, if not even here at the health district, just in our retail pharmacies. All of the physicians' offices have vaccine available. So we just really need people to double back and get that booster shot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vidahi, do you have anything to add to that?
No, you covered it. You covered it all.
Okay. Any other questions anyone would have? All right, we thank y'all very much for the report.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having us, and let us know if y'all need anything.
All right, we will. Okay, do we need to adopt that for recording purposes?
We can do that, Judge.
All right, is there a motion to approve that report for recording purposes?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass. Thank you.
Judge Chris is on the line. We've got a few items for her. If we could start with H5 regarding the current agreement for development industrial tax abatement with Coca-Cola Company.
Okay,
Authorization of, sorry, Judge.
now go ahead.
Authorization of assignment assumption of agreement by Refresco Beverages US Inc. And then H6 is regarding the current industrial business grant agreement with those same companies. Chris?
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. Thank you, Justin. Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Glad to be with you today. As Dustin mentioned, H5 and H6 are assignments of current agreements between McLennan County and the Coca-Cola Company. Coca-Cola has sold its Waco business to Refresco Beverages USA Inc. and as such has requested assignment of the existing tax abatement and business grant agreements to the new ownership. So that's what these two agreements are.
And you evaluated new ownership, and it is a good, solid operations, and in fact, could be better than what we already had. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. They're internationally owned business. They are the largest private beverage third-party manufacturer in the world, and looking at Waco as a great location for future growth.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Chris? If not, what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve. Second.
Have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
H9 is authorization of industrial business grant agreement with Messer LLC. Chris?
Thank you, Justin. City of McGregor has entered into a development agreement with Messer LLC. Messer is a German-owned business that is engaged in air separation for industrial use purposes. For instance, they're in the gas business, and they will take from the air, through an air separation process, and those gases that are separated out through that process are then sold off for industrial users in a variety of ways. There are businesses within this community that utilize those gases in their process. There's currently not a local source for that product, so it's coming from the DFW area or from further south. So this provides an additional area of supply chain directly within our community that will definitely have benefits for existing businesses and new businesses coming into the area. Looking at the project itself, what's being requested by McLennan County is participation only in the business grant section of their development agreement. So what Mike Dixon has been nice enough to put together for us is an industrial business grant agreement that mirrors the terms of the McGregor agreement, specifically related to property taxes. This project will invest $50 million in real and personal property. It will create 19 jobs within by 2025, the beginning of 2025, and those jobs will have an average annual wage of $60,000 a year. So that they're not a huge job creator, but certainly nice jobs that also provide health insurance benefits, as our other agreements require. The participation is only on the personal property side. So McGregor is participating at a 10-year personal property grant at 50%, and the county's being asked to mirror that as part of their participation in the economic development process. We began working with this company a few years ago. The project went through a couple of different changes, but I'm glad that it's circled back and that they will be able to provide services for our region. I'd be happy to answer any questions y'all might have.
Any questions?
City of McGregor's already approved this?
Yes, sir. The city of McGregor has approved their portion of it.
Okay, any other questions? What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Pass.
I-1s regarding the program project agreement with the city of Waco, authorization of payment request, first and final. Chris?
Thanks, Dustin. In November of 2020, the court approved a program project agreement between City of Waco and the Waco McLennan County Economic Development Corporation directly to support the upgrade and rebuild of Mars Drive and Old Hewitt Road. If you've been through that area that stretches from Hewitt Drive all the way to Texas Central Parkway, you'll know that it is heavily trafficked, but also wasn't originally built for the level of traffic that it now receives. So this program project agreement approved a $3.4 million grant. City of Waco has commenced construction of that project and is now requesting the payment from the Economic Development Corporation, the county's portion of which is $1,700,000. As a reminder, there are lots of industrial businesses in that area that utilize that thoroughfare and the movement of goods and services and people through there. Just within the Mars Drive and Old Hewitt Road area that this will impact, you're looking at $350 million worth of taxable value and over 2,000 jobs supported. So it's critical. It's a critical thoroughfare within the industrial district.
Any questions? All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pose. Pass.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, Judge, if we could go to item H7, authorization of amendment to contract with Empathway for transportation of deceased, bid 18-023. If the court will remember back last year, Empathway bought out Waco Mortuary. As that transition has happened, we've identified some gaps in our current agreement. And Mike and I and Heather and Ken have been working with the JPs and with Empathway to try to address those gaps. So Mike, did you want to kind of talk through this amendment to the contract?
Right. Essentially, we wanted to make sure that we had actual numbers for all the services. Some services we didn't have numbers for, and they were providing them, and just apparently weren't charging for them. We needed to put in some stuff about the refrigerated facilities, the use of their refrigerated facilities, because we had a backup at one point. And felt like we needed some performance standards because there had been some complaints about showing up late, or just about even down to not having uniforms. So we went through this, and it all kind of goes into, and also communication. One of the reasons we had a backup in refrigeration is because there was no communication between Empathway and the JPs and Indigent Health. I mean, the only one at the time, apparently before Waco Mortuary, was calling and giving information on what was in, what bodies were in the refrigeration. Empathway came in, that's not a standard situation, so they weren't doing it. And we had a problem with communication between those entities to get those bodies moved along. All this kind of boils down to a schedule of fees, which isn't right. I'll tell you what I need to do. It's on, I guess, the second page. It's in the bottom. At the very bottom, it says intercounty transport 400 pounds or greater. That whole section should be taken out, that whole block, because that's actually addressed in a caveat below.
What section was that?
It's section 4, schedule of fees. That bottom one at the bottom of that page should be taken out because it's handled by a caveat below. We have a storage of unclaimed bodies. We have a $500 per month flat fee. The situation was they were wanting what they charge commercially, which is $15 per day for storage. If we did have another backup, that could be a crazy number. So we negotiated with them for just a $500 per month flat fee, whether we have any in there or not. But we will have. The caveat says for the transport fees for people over 300 pounds is $300. Over 500 pounds or greater, it's a $500 transport fee because they have to send more than one individual out and they have to use special equipment. And I need to add in there $45 for each body bag. But that is main change for them on the pickups is they're running into so many obese bodies that they cannot, in compliance with OSHA rules, move that body with one person. And so they'll need one or two, sometimes three people to move that body, and they have special gurneys, which are costly. So that is the primary change on transport. We agreed to make the best efforts to keep the number of bodies in refrigeration down. Of course, I think what we've done, we've created a method of communication between Empathway, the JPs, and Engine Health Services, where they all should know at all times, every day, what bodies are in there. What JP was the one that is in charge of that body, and the date that it was booked in. So we shouldn't have any new problems with not knowing who we have on hand. That's pretty much it. I think it's a good contract, and in a weird field. I don't have much experience in that, but in looking at other stuff, it seems like it's in the market.
Okay, so the documents that we received need some modification.
Right, there's two changes on section 4, and I will make those when I send them.
Okay, and so, subject to the court approval, how should the motion be stated, so we can deal with it now and not have to bring it back?
Well, just approve it with the two changes that were identified.
Okay. All right, everybody understand that? So, any questions anyone would have? All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve H7 with the two changes identified and presented by council.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any other discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose, pass. Thank you.
All right, moving back up to the top of the agenda to item F, budget amendments, F1s regarding the FY22 budget. Francis?
Right, so as Justin said, budget amendments for fiscal year 22, starting with F1A. This is a certification of revenue for proceeds received from an auction. There were specific items related to Road and Bridge 3 in the amount of $108,596. And then there is a related budget amendment attached. So we would be increasing the revenue lines associated with those proceeds and then increasing road construction materials in that department. F1B, this is general fund for the mental health court department. They're requesting to increase their furniture and equipment line by moving from the countywide contingencies line. And this is in order for them to purchase a printer, copier, scanner for their office. F1C, this is general fund Road and Bridge 3, requesting to move from the contingencies line within that department into furniture and equipment and capital outlay for the purchase of some equipment, furniture, specifically a printer, shelving, and a lawnmower. And then F1D, this is general fund in the capital outlay department. Maintenance of equipment, sheriff's office is requesting to purchase a tire balance machine. There's a justification attached that they provided us. And their request is they're requesting to move from the contingencies line in the countywide department as well. Any questions?
Any questions on, those, aforementioned items? All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve?
F1A through F1D, I believe.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
F1E, authorization of Texas Association of Counties claim deductible invoices. F1E1 is an invoice totaling $1,280.10 for claims associated with Charles Ray Mason. F1E2 is an invoice totaling $10,000, which is our deductible for claims associated with Justin Holt. These are both cases being handled by Tom Brandt's law firm, and they are related to law enforcement claims at the jail.
Okay, any questions anyone have? If not, is there a motion to approve F1 C1 and F1E1 and F1E2?
Motion to approve.
Second?
We have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
F1F, discussion and or action regarding incentive pay program funding. Anna?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning.
I am putting forth a request to fund incentive pay for this summer, for this fiscal year 2022. Just to kind of remind everybody that the status of the program. This past summer during budget session, a dollar placeholder was left in the general fund line item for incentive pay. In previous years, the incentive pay program was budgeted at 2% in that general line item. So there were some concerns brought forth by the court related to the incentive pay program. And so HR worked to revise the incentive pay policy for this year to try to address some of those concerns. We believe we've done that. We have revised the policy related to smaller office payouts. And so we've actually eliminated the ability to get incentive pay funds related to ineligible positions, that is positions that are either vacant or held by an employee that's not eligible for incentive pay, whether because they're newer or within their first year of employment, or they have a discipline issue, so they're not eligible for incentive pay. So larger offices will no longer get those 2% budget funds, so they don't have the flexibility to distribute it elsewhere. So we have revised the policy to account for that. We've also revised the policy to incorporate a training encouragement for supervisors and managers when performing evaluations. HR will host evaluation training, and we'll note that any lack of participation will be presented to the court for determination as to whether they'll participate in the incentive pay program. And so we've also adjusted the individual payout percentages for incentive pay. And I've also provided there in my memo just some data related to what county turnover has looked like in the 5 years that incentive pay has been in place for comparison. And again, it's been 2%. It's budgeted, or it's been funded at 2% for the 5 years of the program's existence, and HR is requesting continuation of the program with the 2% funding for this year. And we're hoping to get the court's approval so we can move forward with our communications related to this upcoming evaluation season. And we can answer any questions you would have.
All right, any questions? All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Make a motion to approve the incentive pay program funding.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, call for a vote.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Miller,
Aye.
Judge Felton,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry.
Aye.
Pass.
Thank you.
Judge, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So of course, we'll need to do a budget amendment for this. So, my thought was, unspent salary funds up to this point would probably be the best place, and I think y'all would probably agree as well.
From where?
Like unspent salary
Oh,
funds
yeah.
up to this point. So I just wanted to make sure, and we'll bring that forward to you for an actual budget amendment on
Okay.
the next agenda, or we can wait until we know exactly what it will cost.
However you
For
want
the
to handle
payout
it, but it
schedules,
does
but-
seem like that's an appropriate place to.
When you say unspent salaries,
So just if you look up to this point in time, if there's been any vacancies or someone is not making the max budget for a position, that money is budgeted, but it just hasn't been spent. And it won't be, because that time is already, passed for that.
past and spent.
Those pay
Okay.
periods are gone, yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right, Dustin.
All right, moving on to item G, bids, RFPs, RFQs. G1's authorization of recommendations. G1A regarding RFP 21-017 air and surface purification system for McLennan County buildings. Ken?
Yes, I should start off that, I had a team that helped evaluate the responses that we received on this. And I'll just read through the respondents. We received a response from Active Pure, from Advanced Intelligent Relief, Capstone Mechanical, E3, Germinator Mobile Sanitizing and Disinfecting, Med Solutions, Minute, can't say it, Minute, Mitchell Construction, Pathogen Lumen Focus, Safety Net, and PD Industries. I won't go through all of the stuff. I will say we recommend that McLennan County grant the award for air surface purification system for McLennan County buildings to Active Pure. Active Pure submitted the best evaluated proposal. I will say of the 4 evaluators, all 4 chose Active Pure as their #1 response. Active Pure's technology is proposed by several other entities that submitted proposals. Active Pure targeted answers to the evaluation criteria included in the RFP documents, information we were actively seeking to help select the best proposal. We had a 4-man team to read the material and evaluate each proposal. We then averaged the scores to determine the best evaluated proposal. Independent and separate from each other, all 4 evaluators determined that Active Pure submitted the best evaluated proposal. Must note that other entities included Active Pure technology in their proposals. We believe Active Pure to be the industry standard and leader for air and surface purification. And I'll just read a few of the notes. Active Pure did not provide the lowest pricing, but several other respondents used an Active Pure components in their responses to the county. Their stated efficacy rates are excellent, 99.9% reduction of SARS-CoV-2 and 99.99% on other pathogens, bacteria, and VOC. And their product works on airborne and surface contaminants. The product is safe to use in occupied space. Active Pure is cleared as a medical device by the FDA. They provided information on the deployment of their product and their estimated time of completion. Active Pure proposed a bit larger units than some of the other respondents proposed that may account for some of the cost difference. Their listed useful life is 10 years, and they have a 5-year warranty on their Induct product and a 3-year warranty on their portable units. But again, that is our recommendation It was a lot of information to cover. And as you know, we kind of held up for a moment because we received an article that talked about how quickly the the COVID virus would last in a fresh air relative humidity controlled environment. But after receiving rebuttals from most of the respondents, what we took from that is that with people coming and going from an area, or for that matter, just being in a confined area, you can't really control the relative humidity. And even though the fresh air may help, people are constantly expelling the virus if they have it. So we decided that it was worth our consideration to place these units in the county.
Okay, and this decision's separate from where we actually used the application, isn't that correct?
We named the buildings as the Highway 6 Jail, Jack Harwell Juvenile, and then we thought we would include the Records Building, Courthouse, and the Annex. That's the buildings that were included in the actual RFP proposal.
And Ken, we do say that that was an estimate of the square footage and that it, depending on budget and other factors, it could be more or less, right?
That's correct. That's
Well,
correct.
I want to be sure it's clear that, that we're not obligating to every square foot of the county buildings.
No,
In fact, I think we ought to start with the jail, and get let a little time go by, to get an indication on how it's working in, true application form, and then we can decide if we want to expand it. And if it's working, I'm sure we will, especially in areas where there's a high concentration of employees and/or public coming into those areas like tax office.
I believe I have worded in the proposal that it could be more or less that. We just needed kind of a starting point because we were using a square footage cost for the proposal.
Well, I think the jail's a perfect place and the highest risk to do it. It's more controlled, and I think we can collect some pretty good local data once the installation is done.
Yes, sir.
And Ken, I'll just read it. It does say McLennan County reserves the right to add or delete service location, and it does. And if it does so, the cost will be reduced by the square footage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Commissioner Perry?
Are you, would the juvenile facility be inclusive of what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think that would be, appropriate as well.
And then the only other thing is I asked Major Armstrong, I know we're focused on COVID. It's just what's in front of us right now. But Major Armstrong, and if you would, sir, explain what the other issues you have with regards to staff and things of that nature.
Sure. And just to reiterate, LaShonda talked about this a while ago. There are still flu and other viruses out here that we're dealing with on top of COVID. And the UV lights, this technology has been around a long time. There's some newer technology involved with this, but they're used in hospitals, restaurants, all across everywhere right now, and barbershops. But this newer technology, it's working with COVID. It's killing the flu, staph, and everything else that's out there. And they did the test here at the jail, and I think those tests were pretty significant as to how it helped on contact surfaces. So I made a recommendation when COVID first started peeking its head up to TJ to look at some UV lights because I had knowledge about those lights and that they do work in HVAC systems. So I'm looking forward to having something like this, and I think it would tremendously help keeping down, not only COVID, but all the other codes and viruses out there.
Okay. Any questions?
What does the 544,667 amount cover? What is that?
That is the coverage of the buildings that I named earlier.
All of them.
Okay.
It's basically
Including-
$1 per square foot.
Yeah,
In-
$1
in-
per square.
Including the records, the
Yes.
annex and the records building?
Yeah.
Yes. And again, I didn't try to separate areas. So when we named a building, we tried to include the entire square footage of that building, but we might not need it in the entire square footage of the building. But again, trying to separate that out, we would need a whole lot more help to do that. And if we get someone on board, we can work with them on what actually needs to be covered.
So it could be more or less.
Yes.
Well, not more, because we don't have any more square feet.
Well,
I
I'm
guess that
sorry.
would be the maximum.
Yes, sir. It could be less.
Okay, my concern. And first of all, I support the idea that this will save money in the long run and medical costs and everything, especially in the jail, the juvenile facility. I can see, I do see that. It just seems that and I looked over all the grading and everything that took place and was submitted. And then I looked at the quotes. And when you go from 142,000 up to $3.8 million, the spread is so great that it almost seems like we weren't bidding apples against apples against apples, that we were bidding apples against oranges against bananas, and that not everyone submitted the same information or whatever. And I don't know if we overcomplicated it by going past saying, we want you to cut down on COVID, we want you to cut down on viruses, period. I mean, that's what staff is, basically. You know, it's a virus, and COVID's a virus, and so forth. And so past that, what is it that we were really trying to do that created so much spread in the bid process from 150,000 to almost $4 million?
It's the technology being proposed. I mean, literally, that's what it boils down to.
Well, we had decided, I thought, I thought we were pretty set on the technology, so why didn't we just bid the same technology and see who could supply it?
Well,
somebody bid painting the walls.
So, Ken, let me take a shot at this, because what I think we're talking about here is, what we asked in the RFP is to eliminate the COVIDs, the MERSs, I don't think we specified which way to eliminate it. We asked them that what we want is these viruses be eliminated through some type of VAERS system or whatever the case may be. And I think you've got technology all over the place with regards to how that's accomplished. So I don't know that specifically it was the technology that Ken put out the RFP for. It was the thought that we need something in place to address the COVID. And Ken, am I close?
That is exactly right, Commissioner. We were trying not to eliminate any idea, but we were trying to determine what might be what we consider the best method.
Once we considered what's the best method, I know that you mentioned there's like 3 different companies using the same system that evidently is not patented to just ActivePure, but their prices were less than ActivePure's quote. So what made them less desirable other than they're using somebody else's system?
Well, it was some of their technology. It was hard to determine from their responses what technology that they were borrowing from ActivePure. So, I mean, we considered ActivePure to be the home company here. And so also too, it's a little bit hard to determine how they were going to go about installing these systems. They did not make it clear. And so we were going with someone that very much spelled out everything that they were going to do to help make this work in our situation.
And if I can add in too, ActivePure had spec'd some larger some larger units that go in the HVAC, the ductwork, where the other companies had spec'd smaller units. And so we think that explains part of the price difference as well. And there was a large number of those larger units spec'd by Active Pure.
And unit being the piece of mechanism that makes this work.
Yes, sir.
The ductwork, yes.
And they would handle all the duct work and electrical work and things like that to make it work?
Yes, sir. They're actually going from wherever the kickoff point for the electrical is and doing that work to the duct system to connect the unit.
So basically, the bid then is based on a cost per square foot. And if we go with a test area first, then that cost will be reduced dollars times square footage.
That's correct.
I could support that.
And the other thing I was wondering, if this, in the bid, do they take in consideration, first, cleaning all the air ducts and everything before installing the equipment? And then also there's certain treatments you can put, inside of air ducts, that are mold and, bacteria resistant, products.
Judge, we did not include any verbiage on that situation.
Okay.
Will we use a third-party vendor to test the effectiveness of this after a period of time? Or will we rely on their information? Will they test it themselves and present it to us?
Major Armstrong, do you have a thought on that?
I do not. I guess we could ask them if they could come back and do that, but that testing's already been done up at the booking desk. You know, we ran that test prior to the system being installed, and then they brought in these temporary units, which are still in our booking area.
Who ran the test, mate?
It was an independent lab that came in and ran the test.
Okay.
Yeah, there's some
It
here
was independent
locally.
then. I support that, yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, the other thing is, our own calculations. In other words, comparing the amount of, flu transmission, staff, those kind of things that happen post installation. We can kind of be watching that, just the medical, it's gonna be a medical data.
I definitely think there's some cost saving, medically speaking, just the medical cost of treating those inmates who contract some of those viruses and everything like that. I see some cost savings that'll help pay for it in the long run.
Right, and we ought to be able to tell that.
And that's what I hope we can do is create some good solid information.
Yeah.
That can say, hey, yeah, this is something that needs to be expanded.
And I'm gonna go out on a limb here and hope that the results are good enough that at the end of the day, we get our inmate crews back.
Yeah, hopefully your absences are down. things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And Judge, just doing some real quick math, if we did Juvenile, Highway 6, and Jack Harwell, that's about 325,000 to 330,000 square feet in those facilities.
Okay.
Is this ARPA funding or not?
Yes, go ahead, Dustin.
Yes, sir. This is something that definitely appears eligible in the, anything with ventilation, increase in safety through those methods appears to be eligible. So this is something.
Part of that ARPA funding then. Okay.
So it'd have to come out of that, if we choose that 10 million.
No, sir, we think it will, there's a specific category, so this should not have to come from the 10 million.
Oh,
But
good.
and Francis, you can,
As a, yeah, anything you can fit in a specific eligibility bucket, then that does not need to come out
Yeah,
of the 10 million.
This should be the perfect example of what would fit,
Yes.
right?
yes, sir.
Okay,
So then what three, we talk about
so
Jack Harwell, Highway 6, and Juvenile?
juvenile, yes, sir.
Those are three we're gonna test.
That's about 60% of what the
60%.
the bid was.
Okay.
About that, something like that.
And the only place in the county we have concentrated masses 24/7.
24/7.
Yeah, oh yeah, we need to
We have a concentrated mass in the, in the records building, you know, from
In tax office?
tax office.
Yeah.
From during the day.
Right.
And I, yes, totally agree.
And the
And
records
that-
building's about 35,000 square feet.
But just for the tax office, we might consider some of the portable units, and we included that in our proposal, that there might be areas where we could use portable units, at least for a temporary solution till we wanted to make it more permanent.
Right.
Just-
So I think what we can do, if the court agrees, is that we can make a decision on the vendor right here. And then as we go along, we can make decisions on what we want to add. So this motion to, if we approve this vendor, doesn't restrict any square feet, really. And it's, we can make that decision separate from this. But I'm thinking everybody, it sounds like that
On the
thinks
jails.
jail and juvenile, definitely.
And then maybe allow them the opportunity to look at the records building, see if there's any other way they would recommend.
Yeah, that's a
I
good
like
point.
Ken's idea on those portable ones too, that you can move around where needed. That's a good idea, Ken.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, any other questions or comments? If not, what's the pleasure of the court?
Make a motion to approve the recommendation from our purchasing director. And at this time, for it to include only the Highway 6 facility, the Harwell facility, and the juvenile facility.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I guess that doesn't complicate, I mean, I was thinking that, well, we can go ahead with that motion like that. It identifies those and then come back and add others, okay.
Additional
All
later.
right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose, pass. Thank you.
All right. Under item G1B regarding bid 22-001 corrugated steel culverts, concrete culverts, and polypropylene culverts. Ken?
And I'm going to try to shortcut a little bit again because of your time limitation. On the culverts, we actually received 2 bids. One from Advanced Drainage Systems for the polypropylene pipe culverts and the polypropylene coupling bands in a grand total of $169,691.57. I must say that that does not provide all the sizes that we can get in the metal culverts or corrugated steel culverts. Then we received a bid from Wilson Culverts for the culverts. The bid was $429,567.30 with the corrugated steel bands of $8,190.87 for a grand total of $437,758.17. And it's recommended that we award the polypropylene culverts to Advanced Drainage Systems and the corrugated steel culverts to Wilson Culverts. Contract term would be March 1, 2022 through February 28, 2023. I want to mention this too. We did call our existing companies to see if they could honor, and that's true of all the road and bridge materials, to see if they could hold the pricing that they have. And so far, none of them could hold their pricing. It's just where we're at in this point in time in materials.
Is, Ken, is the inventory available with these vendors?
Yes. Yes, that's what I was concerned about.
Yeah, it's starting to be. I can't tell you that they have it right now on the ground, but we have talked to them and they're making some headway. But that's how come. Oh, I should also say we did not receive any bids on the concrete culverts. But that's how come we wanted to try to include various product lines so that we have some option in our future. And even some of the people that have bid on our corrugated steel culverts in the past, they didn't offer a bid. And so we're right back to Wilson Culverts, who we have currently under contract, that we have had
And
some trouble.
They didn't fill our last order.
Yes, sir. I know, and we're fighting, and I just don't know what to say when it's just not available.
Yeah, right.
It's not there. Kevin, they truck in or come in on rail?
I'm going to tell you the truth, sir. I'm not sure.
Well, I was going to say if they're trucked in, then they're at the border in Canada, so.
Yeah,
That's where they all are, so.
I know that Wilson was having trouble because they were not getting the metal to actually make the culvert.
Fabricate them, yeah,
Fabricate them, right.
yeah.
Okay,
But we'll continue to try to monitor and keep up with it and try to push. But again, at the same time that with everyone's behind. So, you know, it's trying to resupply everybody in the country.
okay. Any other questions or comments? Not, what's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve recommendation of purchasing director.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Any other discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
G1C regarding bid 22-003 pit run gravel. Ken?
We received a bid from Arcosa Aggregate in the amount of $75,000. We received a bid from Arnold Crushed Stone in the amount of $75,000. We received a bid from Central Crushed Concrete in the amount of $81,250. We received a bid from Green Dream International, they're out of Irving, for $75,625 per ton. We received, that's the bids. And we recommend that McLennan County Commissioners Court grant the award for pit run gravel to all vendors based on location and availability. This recommendation is in accordance with Texas Government Code 262.027. This contract term would be from March 1, 2022 to February 28, 2023.
Any questions anyone have?
No.
What's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve G1C.
Second.
Have a motion second. Does crushed concrete, is that classified the same as pit run gravel? Because it wouldn't have any organic matter, clay or anything in it. So,
No, but I understand that it really sets up well and works well for some of what we're doing.
It just, it depends on how clean it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, because it's a local company. All right. We have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
G1D is regarding bid 22-002 crushed limestone, flex base, and crushed fines. Ken?
We received a bid from Arcosa Aggregate. They only bid on the picked up, and their bid is complete, and it's $234,000. We received a bid from Arnold Crushed Stone, and again, it's only for pickup, and it's $110,000, and it's a complete bid. We received a bid from Central Crushed Concrete again, and again, it's for picked up only, and it's a partial bid of $24,750. We received a bid from Connors Construction, Inc., and they bid on the pickup $102,625. It's a complete bid. And they also bid on the delivery, and under the delivery is $336,625 complete bid. Then we received a bid from Green Dream International For the pickup, it's $159,225, a complete bid. For delivered, it's $343,795, complete bid. Knife River submitted a bid for their pickup. They bid $151,875. It's a complete bid, and their delivery is $544,000, complete bid. We received a bid from Mine Services, and they bid on the pickup. They bid $159,225. It's a partial bid. They did not bid on the delivery. And then we received a bid from Rattler Rock, and they bid on pickup only the crushed limestone at $9,750 partial bid. They did not bid on delivery. Then we received a bid from Twisted Nail Broker Services, and they bid on delivery only, and their bid on the delivery was $1,221,500. It was a complete bid. Now for the recommendation. It is recommended that McLennan County Commissioners Court grant the award for crushed limestone, flex base, stone, riprap, and crusher fines for pickup, loaded, and delivered as follows. Crushed limestone, primary would be Arnold crushed stone at $6, submitted the low bid at $6 per ton. That's on crushed limestone flex base. Secondarily, the Central crushed concrete, their bid was $6.50 per ton, and then Rattler Rock submitted an equal secondary lowest bid at $6.50 per ton. And we're awarding to all vendors based on location and availability. For riprap picked up in our trailers, primarily the Arnold crushed stone is $22 per ton. Connors Construction submitted a secondary lowest bid of $25 per ton with no increase. And again, we're recommending all vendors based on location and availability. On the crusher fines, primary is Connors Construction Inc. submitted the lowest bid at $4 per ton. Secondarily, to Arcosa Aggregates submitted an equally lowest bid at $4.50 per ton. And secondarily, to Arnold crushed stone submitted an equal secondary lowest bid of $4.50 per ton. All vendors, and then again, we're awarding to all vendors based on location and availability. On crushed limestone flex base delivered primarily to Connors Construction Inc. They lowest bid of $15 per ton, and then secondarily to Green Dream International submitted a secondary lowest bid of $15.23 per ton. And then the recommendation is based on availability. Riprap delivered to precincts, primarily to Green Dream International, lowest bid of $36.30 per ton. And then secondarily to Connors Construction submitted lowest bid at $36.50 per ton. And again, all vendors based on availability. And then crusher fines delivered to precincts. And I'm sorry, they got some construction going on beside me here.
I thought that was the loudest pencil sharpener I've ever heard.
I thought he was coming out of the zoo.
I thought he needed breakfast.
And then lastly, on the crusher fines delivered to precincts to various locations, primarily Connors Construction Inc. Lowest bid is $12.25 per ton. And then secondarily to Arnold crushed stone, they submitted the lowest bid at $14.03 per ton. And again, to all vendors based on availability. And again, that's our recommendation. I'm sorry it's such a long one, but we had a lot of responses.
Okay, thank you. All right, any questions anyone have?
If
not, is there a motion to approve the recommendation of the purchasing department?
So move.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
Under item H, contracts interlocal agreements, H1 is authorization of interlocal cooperation agreement with City of Leroy for road work. Commissioner Jones?
This is a interlocal cooperation agreement with the city of Leroy for seal coating and prime seal coats on Park Street and Jane Lane. I make a motion that we approve the interlocal agreement.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
H2 is authorization of revised event rental agreement addendum with McLennan County Fair Incorporated, doing business as Extraco Event Center for jury selection and trial venues. As the court, I'm sure, remembers, we've had this on the last couple of court sessions. The August date provided were wrong. This corrects those dates. It does not add any dates. It's just simply getting those dates correct.
All right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Motion made and second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
H3 is authorization of interlocal cooperation agreement with City of Waco for lead abatement at the firing range. David Ives?
Yes, Commissioners. This is in regards to the final contract for the lead abatement at the firing range at the City of Waco's firing range, which we also utilize, which we brought up in the previous Commissioners Court session. They finally have an official amount, as well as timeframes, square footage, all that'll be included in your packets. And we're just looking to get that approved through court so we can get that abatement done and get that range back into use.
All right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
H4 is authorization of service agreement with CTWP for copier for McLennan County Jail, and the annual cost of this service agreement is $360.
I'll make a motion, we approve.
Second.
Have a motion second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
H8, authorization of construction agreement with LC Paving and Construction LLC for McLennan County Line Road South Creek Crossing Improvements, bid 21-020. Ken?
Yes, sir. Again, this is just the agreement that actually we had more or less attached to the bid documents that we sent out. And as you recall, we awarded that bid to LC Paving, and we received back the signed contract to go along with that bid. We're just as mentioned, we're still waiting on the bonds for this project and have not received those yet. But I figure we could go ahead and sign the contract. And I can't. Some people require the signed contract before they'll be issued bonds. And I have not heard back from him that that's the issue, but I will follow up with him, but we may hold that contract until we get the bonds for the project.
When does the 100 days start then, Ken?
Well, when we issue a notice to proceed, and we're kind of waiting to have everything in pocket before we do that.
Thank you.
All right, what's the pleasure of the court?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
H10, authorization of rental schedule agreement with RDO Equipment Company for Road and Bridge Precinct 2. Commissioner Miller?
Yes, this is a piece of equipment that we need to rent for the removal and replacement of a rail car culvert that we have out on Trading Post Road.
Okay, any questions? Not what's the pleasure of the court?
I'd move to approve H10.
Second.
Motion made second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
H11 is authorization of memorandum of understandings for collaborative internship programs. And Judge, there are a few that need to be pulled with no action, so I'm going to go ahead and list those first.
Okay.
H11B, H11C, and H11F all need to be pulled with no action. And then Anna, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Dustin. So I'm requesting the court's approval of 3 memorandums of understanding related to our internship program. Last year, the court approved the establishment of an internship program with 4 paid internship slots made available to students of Baylor University, which is one of the memorandums of understanding that I'm presenting today. We just want to continue that arrangement with Baylor. But I also wanted to expand the schools involved in the program. So we're also now including McLennan Community College, MCC, and Texas State Technical College, TSTC. So we want to have these same 4 internship slots available to students of those 2 institutions as well. The pools that Dustin mentioned, those are schools that we were still waiting responses from. So we also reached out to Texas Tech, Tarleton, and Waco ISD. Waco ISD is in their Guama programs in the middle of an administrative transition. So we're waiting for their new administration to review that memorandum. Our hope is to include them in this season, but it may not be possible because here towards the end of this month is when applications start to be completed by students looking for summer internships. So there's no change in the number of internship slots available or the budgeted amount. The request here today is just to incorporate these 2 additional schools. So it would be Baylor, MCC, and TSTC participating in the internship program. We think that would provide a
Any
wide
questions
variety
for Anna?
of industries.
So even if we add, going with Baylor, MCC, and TSTC, there's still only 4 total internship slots. Is that what you're saying?
That is correct.
Okay, okay.
All right, any other questions? All right, is there a motion to approve H1C, H1E, and did I miss one?
D.
And H1B.
Sorry, Judge, it's actually, it's H11A, H11D, and H11E.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, that motion is second. Any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, pass. All right,
Under item J, capital improvement, repair and construction projects, J1s regarding ADA renovations to MHMR Crisis Center, bid 21-003, agreement with HCS Incorporated, commercial general contractor. J1A is authorization of payment application number 9. TJ or Ken?
Yes, we reviewed this and find it right in line with where they are in the current construction project, so this is okay to pay.
all right, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made, second, any other discussion? No other discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, pass.
J1B is authorization of change order number 5.
Okay, that amount, oh, go ahead, TJ, are you on?
Oh, yes, sir. So change order number 5 is associated with those structural issues that we ran into beneath the floor. So this is the dollar figure associated with that. We are having the engineers look at the long-term and more appropriate fix for the building-wide issue that we're seeing, but that's going to be sometime down the line, and we will rebid that out to a different group of contractors.
Okay, in regards to this change order, it's $14,347.96. What's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, pass.
L1A, Judge, is the ARPA items that we'll hold until later in the agenda, if that's okay.
Yes.
L1B is regarding the professional services agreement with BKD LLP, authorization of grant administration services invoice through December. This is an invoice from BKD totaling $1,665 for grant administration services, and it is okay to pay.
All right. What's the pleasure of the court?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. Call for a vote. Excuse me. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, pass.
L1C is authorization of second professional consulting contract with Lockwood, Andrews, and Noonan Incorporated. And Judge, we request this be deferred at this time.
All right, is there a motion to defer?
Move to defer.
Second?
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
L2 is regarding the bipartisan infrastructure law, discussion and or action on funding guidelines, opportunities, eligible projects, programs, related matters. Suzanne and Commissioner Jones had reached out about including this on the agenda. We'll keep it on the agenda as we continue to work through it. I think the big thing to point out is about 60% of the funding will be through formula funds, which means it's based off of population or some other metric. And the remaining ones will be done through competitive applications. So just something we'll need to be thinking about how we're going to want to prioritize and then approach eligible projects.
How
I don't know.
long do you anticipate before we get clarification on that?
Judge, we started looking through the guidebook. It's 400 plus pages, very similar to the Treasury, the final rule. So Mike has started going through it. I know Francis, we're finishing up the CAFR and some other things. So we'll start dedicating some time to it. We've been working a lot on ARPA, but I'm not 100% sure of the timeline of when those applications will come out.
And then they'd probably have deadlines for spending the money as well, right?
Yes, I would imagine so. Yes, sir, in
So
those
we'll
grant
have-
terms.
Okay, so we'll have to concentrate on it like ARPA funding as well.
Yes, sir, and likely utilize a consultant or consultants to help with those applications as well.
Okay.
How much money's out there? Is there a figure that's coming to Texas or anything like that?
I have not seen it yet, Commissioner, but we'll look for all that.
All right. So we need to defer that, is what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
All right, is there a motion to defer?
So move.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
M, Department Office Specific Request. M1, Constable Precinct 1, discussion and or action regarding the purchase of in-car and body cameras. And Judge, I believe this needs to be deferred again.
All right, I'll make a motion to defer. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
All right. N2 is discussion regarding healthcare plan audit and related engagement agreement with Messier 42 LLC. And same judge request it be deferred.
All right, is there a motion to defer?
So moved.
Is there a second? Yeah, we have a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
N3 is authorization of appointment to the McLennan County Children's Protective Services Board. We're still waiting some info on this, so request it be deferred as well.
All right,
Second.
have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pass.
N4, discussion and or action regarding trash pickup at precinct yards. Commissioner Smith, do you have anything to add this week?
No, sir, we just need to defer it, keep it on the agenda for future. We're still waiting on trying to finalize some specs to go out and get some quotes or bids.
And I'll just share that I've kind of worked on a front end part, but that's kind of the information I need to kind of fill that out.
Thank you, Ken.
You're welcome.
All right, so is there a motion to defer, Commissioner Smith?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Have a motion second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Pass.
N5 is approval of order granting exemption from competitive bidding for camera system and awarding contract to Sedaptic Incorporated for county jail facilities under local government code section 262.024A2. Ken?
Yes, I received a request from the Sheriff's Department, and it's adding some cameras, moving some DVRs, adding some new NVRs, and it concerns both Highway 6 Jail and Jack Harwell. And this is more or less mirroring a court order that we've already done. Sedaptic, we're trying to keep everything common to both facilities and for that matter, adding the juvenile to that. We've been very successful using Sedaptic. They're not on any kind of contract, but using them and using the discretionary exemption This is items that are necessary to protect public safety. So anyway, we submit this for your consideration.
Okay, any questions?
Make a motion to approve N5.
Second.
Have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, pass.
Under item O, Americans with Disabilities Compliance Project, O1's authorization of professional service invoice with CPNY, their ADA report and study for the month of January. This invoice totals $1,788 for the January services, which were at the MHMR Crisis Center and at Juvenile.
Okay, any questions?
Motion to approve.
Mo- Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
Under item P, McLennan County Venue Project, P1's regarding the architectural services agreement with Populous. P1A is authorization of professional service invoice for their July services. We did not receive this invoice initially. If the court remembers, we had transitioned over to a $15,000 a month fee with Populous for construction administration services. Back in June, they had reached out and said that the work in July was going to be a small amount and they weren't going to charge us the entire $15,000. They were going to shift it to an hourly. So that's what you see before you. It totals $2,570.46.
Okay, any questions?
Are we going to continue to receive these, Dustin?
No, Commissioner, this should be the last one. We thought we were all closed out, and then they had looked back through and realized that this one hadn't been paid, and we had received no record of it, but this should be the final one for construction administration.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion, second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, pass.
P4s regarding the Area B demolition project, professional civil engineering services proposal with Walker Partners, authorization of engineering service, surveying services invoice through December 28th. Back in December, we had approved the proposal from Walker Partners for the Area B demolition, which included the Paul Tyson field site. This invoice totals $1,700 for the preliminary documents.
Okay, any questions? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, pass.
All right, Judge, I believe that's all the action items with the exception of our ARPA items.
Okay, we've got another hour. We did, we were going to go into executive session. I still would like to under legal matters, but Tom Brandt's firm is not going to be able to present. He had a death in his family, and Herb is got some new information on opioid settlement that will come out this coming week, and he would like to defer until the next, so we'll have them both at the next meeting. But I would like to go into executive session under 551.071 on an item that's on the agenda. Dustin?
Judge,
Yeah.
did you also want to go under real property under 072?
Yes, okay, that's 551.072 on real property discussion.
Would you maybe agree to do that after a short recess?
Yes, that's what I was fixing to say. And we will do that after a 5-minute recess. And it is currently 10:33. Okay. It is 10:39. Y'all back in session. I'd like to go into executive session under 551.071 under legal attorney advice, and then under 551.072 regarding real property. And Chapman to remain in the in the session.
Recording in progress.
Can we decide Friday to meet or not, or Tuesday? Which one?
I don't
did we do?
remember.
Okay. Did we decide Friday or
I think
Tuesday?
Friday afternoon.
Friday, 1
Friday,
o'clock.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Okay.
Friday at 1 o'clock?
All right, let's call court back in session. It's 11:10. I would like Dustin to briefly bring up the spreadsheet and kind of give everybody a preview of what the spreadsheet on ARPA looks like. And Francis may have some modifications or I'll do it, but the general idea, if you'll kind of explain that, and what we're going to do is, as soon as we go over this this spreadsheet and understand it a little bit, everybody will have that, and any updates between now and when we meet on ARPA. So we're going to post here to have Commissioners Court to specifically talk about ARPA on Friday at 1 p.m. But this will prepare us in doing that. So, Dustin?
Yes, sir. So our office has been working with Mike and Francis to really try to simplify how we're presenting this material and trying to make something very easy to follow. So what you'll see before you now is it's very much a work in progress, but it's these are the non-infrastructure ARPA requests that we've received to date. The items marked in green are the ones that we have approved. We go in and denote what the project is, the amount that they've asked, whether or not BKD has reviewed it, and if it's allowable, and if so, what category it fits under. Then we also identify the 501c3s, just because those nonprofits, that is a easier path, if that's the right word, on distributing some of these ARPA funds. And then we also have columns for the agreement, the status of the agreement, and then also the paid status, because some of the agreements do have a time frame in which they need to be paid. Those items that we've highlighted in light blue are the ones that are we're bringing forward next to be considered. We think we have enough info on those. you'll see that we had a lot of those on the agenda today that we can defer and then bring back up on Friday. Creative Waco is one of those. Fiona was going to present today, but she's still gathering some info, so she'll actually be available for a presentation on March 1st, and I may reach out to her and see if she would like to present on Friday as well. And then the ones in the light orange or other color at the bottom are new requests we've received from, or new outreach, I guess, from Meals on Wheels, Isaiah 117 House, and the Lee Lockwood Library and Museum. They're all working on their request right now. They are all 3 501c3s, and just as soon as we get that information, we will share it with BKD to have their review, and then bring those forward to court for consideration if they're eligible. The ones at the bottom are ones that we've discussed with the court before that think there were some additional questions on, so we're holding these here. If anybody on the court wants to bring those forward, we can bump them up on the list for discussion. If there's no questions on this page,
I do have
wanna
one
show-
question. When
Yes,
you,
sir.
under the agreement, when you say complete, does that mean we have issued the agreement, they have reviewed it and signed it and got it back to us?
If it's complete, it's ran through Commissioner's Court. Like on the Syntax Minority Business Equity Fund, we're waiting on that contract to be returned. We've approved it and sent it to them. Friends for Life, it's completed and the check's already been issued for them.
Because they've signed the agreement and we got it back.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
And then on the agenda today, we had Heart Attacks Region MHMR and Waco Family Medicine. We had those back on the agenda to be amended to move those to a beneficiary agreement, which is better for both the county and for those entities. But that's something we can, if the court wants to act on those quickly today, we can, because there's really no substantive changes to those. That's something we could take care of quickly. And then what we've also done, and this is the part that's very much a work in progress, is look at our spending plan and try to really simplify this and have pots of money for y'all to be able to be thinking about how to spend. And so these numbers that we've plugged in on the left side are arbitrary, just kind of put out there for discussion purposes. But starting at the top, we know we have 49.8 million through ARPA. The lost revenue portion that we can do is the $10 million. If you step over, some projects that we've identified that are eligible for this use would be the demolition at the Paul Tyson demolition, those volunteer fire departments that we'll discuss more on Friday, the non-501c3s, they would have to come from this lost revenue portion. And then also the downtown jail, as we talked about before, the hopes were that it would be eligible in the main ARPA categories, but doesn't appear to be, so it would have to come from our 10 million. So after our 10 million is pulled out, that leaves us 39.8 million of ARPA funds. And again, this is just a number that was plugged in, just saying we plug 15 million for non-county projects. If we spent every bit of that, that would leave us 24.8 million, which could go to county projects. And if we kind of step into each one of those categories, the non-county projects, what you see before you here are ones that have already been approved. That's MHMR, Waco Family Medicine, that Syntax Minority Business Equity Fund, Friends for Life, Centacor, and the volunteer fire departments that are 501c3s. We've also plugged in just a $5 million tag here for the water infrastructure projects. You can see if we spent what we've already spent, and then if we spent every bit of that 5 million, that would still leave $4 million in a non-county projects line item. If you step down, assuming that total 4 million was spent, that would leave us 24.8 million for county projects. This is where HVAC upgrades, something TJ has looked at, like the courthouse hallways are not conditioned. A lot of our facilities need upgrades. Those are ARPA eligible. This is also where the air and surface purification that we approved today would fit. And looking at the downtown jail, we believe that we would be able to carve out certain elements of it that would be ARPA eligible. That would include the HVAC, ventilation, and then there's also certain things, certain type of finishes, antimicrobial finishes and other things that could be eligible as well. And then there's been some discussion about low water crossings and different types of projects. So if you plugged 5 million in for each of those categories, that would still leave us roughly 9.8 million left to spend in county projects. But like I said, these numbers are mainly arbitrary, the ones we plugged in. We just wanted to get something down on paper for the court to be able to see this, tried to simplify it in a way that we can keep working forward and keep updating this daily as we get new info and after each court session as well. And so please let us know if you see something on here that needs to change, if you have a suggestion of a way to do something better. Like I said, we just tried to simplify this to help the discussion.
And I would point out that the 5 million for the water infrastructure is probably a little light, given some of the problems that are out there with arsenic removal and the other stuff and supply. But so we may have to relook at that. Also, they came out with the infrastructure act for the day, and let me show you our little guidebook. It's 437 pages, and so now we need to start looking at this. And the reality is some of what we're looking at for county projects for like low water bridges and stuff may fit better under this than ARPA. And we could use ARPA funds, more ARPA funds for other things, because this is all about bridges and culverts and about everything.
Travis from Freeze and Nichols, he was talking about that. They're going through it right now.
Yeah.
Also
okay.
too.
Good.
So,
Are they going to provide us with all of this? Can we have access to what this presentation right here?
Yes, sir. Commissioner, we'll put it on that ARPA shared drive and we'll send out instructions again on how to access it.
Okay, thank you.
And it should be like Francis does budget, where it's active and updated, and so you can take the last one. Okay, anything else? All right, do we need to go back to the agenda to defer anything?
Yes, sir, Judge. We would need to defer those agreements, and if the court's willing, we could approve the two amendments for Waco, the one for Waco Family Practice Foundation, and then MHMR. Those are just very simple. It's just getting the names, and for Waco Family Medicine, it's moving it to their Family Practice Foundation, the naming of it. And then, like I said, it's just changing those from subrecipient agreements to beneficiary agreements.
What number are those?
Yeah, what's that?
That's L1A4 is Waco Family Practice Foundation, and L1A5 is Heart of Texas Region MHMR.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the court?
Approve L1A4 and L1A5.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Pass.
So, Judge, we'll need to defer L1A1, A2, A3, A6, and A7.
Okay, I move we defer the aforementioned agenda items.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? No other discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Pass. Anything else to come before the court? All right, we stand adjourned.
Recording stopped.
Did we get you out of time? Got you out in time?
You did, you did.